Welcome everybody, Red Arrow 23 here, time for another episode of the Land Like a Boss series. Today we're going to be covering the two smoke flare landing on the left side of a right hand side beach. Let's boom this beach! So, bit of a mouthful there, but what we're going to be doing, we'll check out the hit that we're going to demo today. And all we're trying to do is, this is a right hand side beach because the right hand side of the beach is lower than the left. And what we're doing is we're going to be doing a flare landing with two smokes, perfectly landing everything under smoke, not peaking at all, and then we can head up and go wherever we need to go. So there you go, nice demo from BVD on Squiggle's account. Let's break it down. So here we go. You have the option of ditching your hero on the right hand side or anywhere, just to ease your mind. But it's not a big deal because you can just select your Zukas, go launch, launch, launch all the way up, and just don't launch your hero. If you do launch your hero, she'll probably pop out the other end. So let's have a look at our smoke placement. So the first thing that I always like to do with these attacks is go to a previous attack either on the same base, doesn't have to be from the same operation. If it's not on the same base, it can be just the same map. So on this one, I know that the church did an attack on Atlas, and the main reason I'm looking at this, hopefully they did a flare landing that'll help you out a bit. The major reason we're doing this is to see how high up the beach the Zukas are landing. So you can see that they're landing right there, and we can extend that line all the way across, and we can pretty much use this line here above that line, so that sort of corridor, or the right line there, that's where the Zukas are all going to walk straight away. So we want to use that line. Let's get rid of it, start again. We want to use that line there as our reference, a bit wavy, but that's okay. And any smokes that we're going to be using to do a covered landing or a smoked landing, we want the widest part of that smoke to be right on that line, so then we get the maximum coverage. So that if we put those smokes too high, so this is our midline still, and we put those smokes too high right here and here, you can see that we're obviously going to have a gap under here. And our Zukas are going to peak, and we're going to either trigger rocket launchers to fire, or they're going to at least target us so that we have less of a delay when we get to our finishing spot. So now that we know how high up the beach we want to deploy our smokes, we need to know how far left or right to put them. So first things first, we need to flare as low and as left as possible. If you flare too high, the Zukas are going to spread. And what I mean by spread is, so with that nice low flare, all the Zukas will walk in a nice form, orderly fashion, nice and low. If you were to put the flare up here, for example, the furthest right boat is going to walk like that, and this boat's going to walk like that. So you've got that all of that spread that you don't really need. Whereas, as we discussed, if you have this flare really nice and low, if anything, they're going to go lower. And that's going to be a lot easier to smoke and cover with, and keep all of our Zukas from peaking. So there we go. Our first smoke point, we're using this line here as our left to right reference, and we've already seen that this line here-ish, it was a bit of a bad draw, so that line and that line, that's where our first smoke's going to be. Let's just double check that this is what BBD did. There we go. And then you can see that his first landing his first boat of Zukas was quite quick. You need to be very precise because you obviously don't want to peek out the right hand side straight away, but you do need to drop that first boat nice and quickly so that the first smoke does not expire when you get to the other side. So his smoke was a little bit low, but that's okay. It's worked out really nicely. He's covered all 4 boats, and then we need to drop our next smoke so that we can cover all the way from here all the way out to that left hand side. So let's have a look at that next smoke placement. There it is, boom. And then we can drop the rest of our boats, remembering that as soon as they get to that flare, they're going to start bouncing out. So you need to drop your next smoke around about here. Smoke's obviously a little bit bigger than that, but that's fine. And you want to be flaring up to wherever you're going. You might be going to this corner. You might be trying to go for like a straight up path. So you can flare right up the top there. Ugh, that's not going well. But you can flare up there somewhere. Or if you were doing like a Titanic, you could flare right up on against this wall and go straight line up there. So there's a few options for coming out of that 2-smoke landing. So that next smoke, that third smoke obviously has to be nice and quick. We don't want to lose any Zookas to rocket launcher fire. That's obviously going to be a bad day for us. So let's have one last look at the attack. Optional discard of the hero on the right. Flare landing on the left, flare on the left, using that reference point to drop our smoke at the widest point, all 4 boats, and then drop the next smoke, and then the last 4 boats. Next smoke, and then flare up. Boom, and boom. So here we go, that's going to cover it for the 2-smoke flare landing, left hand side of a right beach. Boom! So comment down below if you've done this attack before, how easy you think it is, whether it helps you out on particular maps, all of those nice stuffs, and then give us a thumbs up, like the video, thumbs down if you didn't, and subscribe for more Boom Beach.